Hi, I'm Alex Stutchbury and welcome to ARTClass, a series of videos teaching you the key skills needed to create great art. Today I'm going to teach you how to use colour pencils so you can create accurate, realistic drawings at home or in your classroom. Here's the objectives. Can I blend colour pencils to make a picture look realistic, and can I use certain techniques to make the image appear 3D? First, let me show you a few basic techniques. It doesn't matter what type of pencils you have. You don't have to have a really expensive set from the shops. Any pencils should work using these basic methods. So start with any colour of your choice, in this case yellow, and apply that really boldly at one end. Then fade it out by applying less pressure away from that dark dense bit. You can overlap a couple of times to get it dark enough. Then starting from the other end, apply boldly and then fade into the lighter area in the middle, and that will mix the colours together. So in this case, you're creating a nice orange layer. Also, to get rid of any white areas, you can cross-hatch from a slight angle, and that will help using both those colours to fade these colours more smoothly together. Another technique is the etching technique, where you apply a light colour really boldly on first, and then you can apply a different colour on top, and with colour pencils it should overlay, leaving the light one to show through. Finally, if you're mixing an even darker tone of a certain colour, try not to just use black. Sometimes use a different colour, and that will help raise the actual colour out of the page. So actually complementaries would work best. So something like a dark green on top of the red will help make the red look darker, in the same way that applying purple next to or on top of yellow will equally look dark. Right, now you know the basic techniques, let's put them into practice. You can do it with any image. The one I'm going to use for this video is this lion picture that I found online. So let's now see how all of those techniques can create a really fantastic colour pencil piece. So we'll start by applying lighter tones. It's always worth starting with the lighter tones because it's easier to then blend and fade other colours on top. But actually, as you can see here, I suddenly thought, well, let's put some of these white highlighted whisker parts in and see if the etching effect works later on. It's always slightly hard to tell how effective it will be. Just press really firmly. So I'm putting a lot of white on the chin to see if it will contrast later on. Then it's a case that you build up things like yellows, beiges in this case, and actually quite a lot, because it's a warm face in terms of the colouring of the lion. It is going to be a case that a lot of it will have yellow as a base colour, and then lighter and darker oranges on top. And then you can start using things like a brown or a sort of burnt sienna, scarlet colour, a couple of different ones to go slightly darker again. So it's all about just layering up colour. As you can see, it's building up, but I'm also trying to apply it more delicately and layering up the darker parts. I'll work on the other side of the face as well now, so you can see the process again, where you've got a lot of yellow to begin with, and actually if you apply that yellow over areas that you've then applied darker tones on top, it smudges it in as well, so you can smooth out some of the hatched lines if you can see them too obviously with your shading. So I'm applying these layers up with the oranges, the browns, getting some detail now, layering up those eyes to show that the actual eyes, getting the eyelid overlapping and casting a slight shadow. As you can see, I'm putting some reds on again to sort of bring out the warmth of the colours. But now I've decided I've got those browns and reds on. Let's use a dark blue, because that will actually create the contrast using the complementary colour as shown earlier to actually create an almost black looking dark shadowed area. So something like the mouth, the nose in this case. And that's a really good trick to use. Black often flattens the image. So remember the colour wheel, and complementary colours are always opposite on that colour wheel. So let's work on the mane now. Let's work a little bit more quickly. Now you can see I'm twisting my hand all the time. I'm trying to show with directional shading the shape of where all the hairs are coming out of the main face. So they're all from different angles, and I'm layering up a lot of yellow to begin with because it's very bright and warm. Then you apply the oranges on top, but I'm leaving some areas because actually I do want to show a little bit of bright yellow highlighted hair in key parts. But I'm now applying this orange again in quite a lot of the area because it is a case of just building up the layers of colour. And as you can see in the photo in the top left corner, there's a lot of darkness, especially in the top part of the hair. So we're going to have to layer this up with several layers, working from yellow to orange to red to brown, and then applying a bit of blue or purple on top at the end. So some strokes are more obvious on this part, whereas before we were trying to smoothly blend in. And actually you can see now by putting these darker tones on that actually the whiskers and the etching effect has worked around the whiskers and the chin. They are starting to stand out. And especially now when I put blues and purples to really darken a few key areas, those whiskers, yeah, they stand out really well. You've got a really good contrast there. So the etching effect did work. But that was because I applied the white pencil so boldly on at the beginning and almost created a slight crease in the paper. But leave the strokes visible. If you're doing things like hair, leave these pencil strokes visible because you don't want it as smoothly blended. You're trying to make it look rough and you're trying to represent hundreds and thousands of different individual hairs. That's an effective final piece. You've got some good elements, good contrast. I think the menacing look of this lion is quite effective, just touching up those darkest few individual parts one last time. So there you go, a completed line pencil piece, starting with this photo and producing something like this. I'm pretty pleased with that one. I think it came out really nicely. So give it a go yourself, enjoy creating some great art, and remember, practice makes perfect. So don't worry if it doesn't go quite right first time. Pause the end of the video and I've summarized all of those key skills again in one simple frame. I look forward to seeing how you get on. My name's Alex Stutchbury. Goodbye.